Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. My name is Audrey Plonk, and I am the head of the Digital Economy Policy Division at the OECD. I am very pleased to welcome you to the third event of the OECD's Global Forum on Digital Security for Prosperity. Our event will take place today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, and will focus on local challenges and global solutions in digital security. I wish to thank our virtual host, Israel, for making this possible. I would also like to thank our additional sponsor, TUV Sud, for their support. I am delighted to kick off our event with an introduction by the newly appointed OECD Secretary General, Mr. Mathias Cormann. Secretary General, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Audrey. Distinguished guests, ambassadors, colleagues, I'm delighted to welcome you to this year's OECD Global Forum on Digital Security for Prosperity. The digital transformation of our economies comes with exciting new opportunities, many of them, of course, demonstrated and accelerated during the COVID pandemic. However, it's also come with its own growing and evolving risks and challenges. Two of the biggest digital economy-related risks and challenges, of course, relate to cybersecurity and privacy. To ensure everyone has the opportunity to participate and benefit from the digital transformation of our economies, we need to ensure we continue to find better ways to manage those growing risks. Now in its third year, the Global Forum convenes public and private sector stakeholders, including representatives from civil society and academia, in a global setting to facilitate dialogue, debate, and cooperation on critical issues related to digital security. So over the next 3 days, this forum will tackle 3 urgent priorities. First, how we can make better use of market mechanisms to enhance cyber resilience. Second, how organizations can better prepare for and respond to cybersecurity incidents. And third, what we can do to break down silos and boost international cooperation among governments and other stakeholders. This event comes at a particularly important time. Over the past year, the COVID-19 crisis has, of course, further accelerated what was already a rapid pace of digital transformation. A transformation that is impacting almost every industry and every aspect of our daily life. The digital economies have helped our economies and our societies to keep going during this pandemic. Millions and millions of us have moved online to work, play and learn. And in just 1 year, internet traffic in some countries has increased by up to 90%. And according to some estimates, we have reached the milestone of 25 billion Internet of Things devices globally. As the world goes increasingly digital, cyber threats loom ever larger. Recent global cyber attacks involving the American software company SolarWinds and Microsoft Exchange provided a sobering reminder of how vulnerable our economies and societies are to malicious actors. Relentless supply chain and ransomware attacks are becoming increasingly sophisticated, with attackers harder to spot and harder to fight. The damage caused by these attacks underscores the economic and social necessity to improve our digital security. Cyber incidents can disrupt almost every facet of our lives, from routine business operations to online education to the provision of healthcare. In fact, attacks on hospitals are particularly shocking and devastating. Healthcare organizations reported 56 cyber attacks in the first 2 months of 2021 alone. And just last month in my home country, Australia, a large healthcare service provider was hit by a ransomware attack, severely disrupting key hospitals. These attacks have real consequences for real people. In some instances, hospitals have postponed all but the most urgent elective surgeries for several weeks while they work to get their systems back online. Of course, back in 2017, WannaCry attack on the UK National Health Service was a real wake-up call. And since then, we've had similar incidents in Canada, the Czech Republic, France, Ireland, Germany, New Zealand, the United States, and others. Too often, Our responses to events like this remain local, while our digital economies and societies are borderless. There is tremendous scope to advance international cooperation for cyber resilience. The more we cooperate, the more resilient we will be. Over the past 3 decades, the OECD has been at the forefront of working with stakeholders to address complex global challenges facing the digital economy. By engaging with technical and policy experts, business and civil society, we can share experiences and seek common evidence-based solutions to global problems. And one powerful channel and outcome of this cooperation comes through the OECD's role as a global policy standard setter. Since setting the first international guidelines for personal data protection back in 1980 and cryptography policy in 1997, the OECD continues to develop new global standards to foster trust, security, and stability in the digital environment. We're currently reviewing and updating our 2015 recommendation on digital security risk management to develop new guidelines and encourage organizations to better manage their vulnerabilities. When it comes to digital security, if there is any vulnerability, you can be sure that somebody will find a way to exploit it. When we hear vulnerabilities, we often think about technical flaws in code. However, the most exploited of all vulnerabilities is the lack of cooperation and communication, whether that is between security researchers and companies, between competitors, or across borders. Improved international cooperation is the very mission of the OECD. It is at the center of our response to the COVID pandemic and our thinking about recovery strategies. So through this annual event and through our ongoing work on digital security, the OECD will continue to support stronger cooperation and to shape the international agenda for better digital policies for better lives. So colleagues, thank you for joining us today. Best wishes for a great event, and let's hope that we can meet together in person when we hold this forum next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary General Cormann, and thank you for highlighting the importance of addressing digital security challenges from an international perspective, in particular against the backdrop of the COVID-19 crisis. Our next speaker is the Director General of the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Alon Ushpiz. Mr. Ushpiz could not be with us today, therefore I would like to invite you to listen to his recorded address.
Mr. Mathias Cormann, OECD Secretary General, my dear friend Mr. Igal Yuna, Head of Israel National Cyber Directorate, distinguished participants. I am glad and honored to congratulate the incoming new OECD Secretary General, Mr. Mathias Cormann. Sir, you take over the leadership of the OECD in turbulent times, as the results of the COVID-19 pandemic still very much touches every aspect of our life. I wish you success in your high mission. You have Israel's full support, and you will find us a solid and effective partner. Israel attaches great importance to its good cooperation with the OECD. As a member state that celebrated its 10th anniversary last year, Israel highly appreciates the joint activities with the organization, especially in areas where Israel stands at the global forefront, such as cybersecurity. The corona crisis has demonstrated the crucial role digital security plays in ensuring the good delivery of public services and how vulnerable these can become without the proper protection. A dire need is the mother of adaptation and innovation, and our world shifted over the last year to become much more dependent on distance learning, working online, and the need to be constantly connected. All of us are very much committed to safeguarding the digital infrastructure and ensuring it is adequately resilient to crisis as well as to foes. The corona pandemic also revealed to us that even our health systems and our medical research centers are vulnerable and have been targeted by cyber attacks. My country's contribution to both medicine and cyber have opened new ways for unique collaborations aimed at securing the technological landscape of the health sector. A good example of Israeli innovation and its contribution to the global efforts to fight the virus is the CoronaNet network, a digital platform for sharing information between countries on the fight against the virus. The system was developed by IAI ELTA Systems in cooperation with the National Cyber Directorate and the Ministry of Health, based on the CyberNet system that serves the Israeli cyber defense community. The platform is secure and enables sharing of knowledge, warnings, science, and technology. We cannot overlook the fact that digital security is a world challenge, and the threats to it are global. It can only be addressed through global cooperation. This is demonstrated in the conference motto, local challenges, global solutions. Preparing to mitigate all these challenges and improving our national and collective resilience will require vision, action, and cooperation. In this context, I am pleased to mention that this conference also includes participants from some non-OECD members, such as Singapore, India, UAE, amongst others, all of them close partners of Israel. This ensures the geographical scope of the conference is indeed global, and that it brings into the global cyber tent diverse players. One cannot think of a better organization to be the main pole of such a tent.
Thank you so much. I think we lost the end of the speech, but let's just keep going and move on. I just want to thank Mr. Alon Ushpiz for his time and his video. I'd like to now invite Ambassador Haim Assaraf, the permanent representative of Israel to the OECD, to provide his introductory remarks. Mr. Assaraf, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Audrey. Dear colleagues, distinguished guests, dear digital community, I would like to welcome you to the OECD Global Forum on Digital Security for Prosperity, Building on Cyber Resilience together in a post-COVID-19 world. Originally, this meeting was scheduled to take place last year, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we had to eagerly wait to host this year. The State of Israel is very proud to host this distinguished forum in a virtual format. The COVID-19 changed many aspects of our lives, which includes its tremendous impact on the digital world and our growing reliance on digital services. We have no other choice but to strengthen our digital resilience. The pandemic has proven that while we are becoming digital in our economic activities and in our day-to-day lives, we should also pay close attention to and manage the risks that the digital world creates. I hope that this gathering of cybersecurity experts and policymakers will help us to take us further in striking the right balance between becoming more digital and in being aware of its risks. In this spirit of like-mindedness and shared values, we must find common solutions to some of these issues, which to me are a prerequisite for meeting the digital challenges that we are facing. Under the slogan that was chosen to this important event of finding global solutions to local challenges, Israel is eager to kick off a long-term process of building successful international cooperation in this field. We can only be successful in achieving our goals if we are all cooperating together. The OECD is well placed in terms of capabilities, knowledge, and experience. Together, we can work on finding new economic norms, set new standards on cyber economic resilience, and in a way that will take us forward to new economic norms on cybersecurity. Israel is known as a lively and innovative hub, as well as center for advanced digital infrastructure. Israel's technological excellence, especially in the high-tech sector, has been acknowledged by the global industry. We are confident that this OECD forum is the right platform to initiate better global cooperation and public policy discussion for digital resilience in our economies and our societies in order to ensure quick recovery from the pandemic. I hope that we will conclude this gathering with a better perspective on our cyber resilience future in terms of sharing standards and certificates and promoting a common language in both global and local. I congratulate the new Secretary General, Mr. Mathias, who took office only 7 days ago for his first OECD forum outside the OECD premises in Paris. Mathias Cormann's words show how important is cybersecurity resilience in our digital area for the OECD and for all its members. The Israeli mission to the OECD, and myself included, are standing ready to support this effort and to be the linking body between the Israeli National Cyber Directorate and the Organization for the Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD. I wish us all a fruitful discussion, and I thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador, for your remarks. Before I introduce the next and last speaker in the opening session, I just wanted to note that usually the Global Forum takes place physically in the host country. The first Global Forum event was hosted in Paris, and the second one was in London. In theory, we would have been meeting all together in Israel now for this event. But we regret that the pandemic forced us, like many others, to revisit our plans. But we're also extremely grateful for the continued support from Israel to host the Global Forum, even virtually. The Israeli National Cyber Directorate, INCD, has been instrumental in the preparations for this event, and I would like to now introduce its Director General, Mr. Igal Yuna, to provide his remarks. Igal, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you very much. Secretary General, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, all of the great people that together we do this very important cyber conference. As you mentioned, it should have been last year physically in Israel. We were so excited to have it, and then all our planning, got to shifted to another directions because of another pandemic, biological pandemic. So this is a great opportunity, even still virtual, to meet after a hard and tough year, and to get back together and move forward the important things to digital and global globalization in the digitalization world, how to secure it and how to make sure that we all move forward safely and secured. So but we have some benefits from the delay. One of the major benefits that we hadn't have last year and we do have this year is a new member, a new friend in our circle, the United Arab Emirates. After the Abraham Accord, they are now more than ever a strong and a friendly member and friend to all of us in achieving and thriving for the same goal of cybersecurity. We learned that this pandemic, any pandemic, has effect on everyone. It's not just on Israel or France or any other country of the OECD, it's all of us suffer together, whether it's COVID-19, the biological side, or cyber. And now Israel is getting out or got out from the biological pandemic, but we will not get out, none of us, from the cyber pandemic. It's just getting worse, and we need to get stronger and work together. And that's important to say, cyber, and I'm 32 years experience in this field, before it was even called cyber, you cannot do by yourself, not a single agency, and certainly not a single country. So this is the grave importance of the OECD cyber community that is building up here, and only in community you can achieve cybersecurity, not by solistic or sole players. In this spirit, I would like to offer to see a short video of what we have to offer, if you may.
As part of the State of Israel's vision to turn the city of Be'er-Sheva into the cyber capital of Israel and to promote its national cyber capabilities and economic resilience, the Israel National Cyber Directorate established a high-tech park in Be'er-Sheva, creating a unique ecosystem and synergy between government, academia, industry, and the Israeli Defense Force. The high-tech park hosts startups, high-tech companies, multinational corporations, and a research center of Ben-Gurion University, as well as innovation cyber arenas in the fields of fintech, energy, and transportation. The Israeli Cyber Emergency Response Team, CERT-IL, is located at the heart of this ecosystem. The CERT receives and handles hundreds of reports and information about cyber attack attempts or threats from local and international partners on a daily basis. These reports are examined and processed immediately in order to create a national situation report.
We reach out to organizations with critical information on known vulnerabilities that may be found on their systems. We call on the organizations to patch the vulnerabilities, offering our expertise and technological assistance as necessary.
Centers of this type exist in 100 countries around the world. The Israeli model is considered unique due to the fact that it is comprised of 7 sub-centers dedicated to specific sectors in the economy. The information gathered by the sub-centers makes it possible to draw a broad picture of the cyber threats and attacks in Israel and to provide a specific and customized response to each sector. The Israeli CERT maintains working relationships with most of the corresponding centers in the world, shares information, and provides advice to governmental partners. An innovative and unique aspect of the CERT is the National Incident Management Center.
Actually, this is like the CDC of Israel, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention in the cybersphere. By serving the Israeli industry and its citizens, it can provide the first aid, make the first triage, develop national-level vaccines, and teach the attacked entities how to improve next time.
The center can be reached by dialing the emergency number 119, the world's first initiative of its kind that allows any citizen and organization to report a cyber incident and receive initial assistance. The center operates 24/7 and it's staffed by analysts, alumni of IDF technology units, and university graduates who are experts in the field of information security and cyber protection. In order to share valuable information in a quick and effective manner, the Israel National Cyber Directorate has developed a unique tool that operates at the center, CyberNet. CyberNet is a first-of-its-kind social network that allows Israeli security professionals to share information about cyber attacks in order to mitigate them and create an early warning system that prevents attacks from spreading. The Israel National Cyber Directorate works to prevent and handle significant cyber attacks. Those involved in the cyber field acknowledge and appreciate the value of international cooperation and interpersonal connection between partners.
It is not about computers. Cyber is all about people. People who perpetrate attacks, whom we need to get into their malicious minds and to be a few steps ahead of them. People like you and me, who make mistakes and choose poor passwords or press suspicious links. And the cybersecurity community. No one can succeed alone. Not a single agency, not a single country. Only side by side, sharing and supporting each other. Together we can beat the cyber threats and prevail.
See you next time in Be'er-Sheva.
I truly hope that the next meeting will be physical in Be'er-Sheva in Israel, and you're all invited. Secretary General, with your permission, first I want to thank all of the organizers. You've done a great job. And now, with your permission, let's get into actual work and let's have a great conference.
Thank you, Director General. We are looking forward to being with you in Be'er-Sheva next time. I also want to note for everyone that Mr. Unna will moderate the concluding session of the Global Forum on the 9th of June, that's Wednesday, where we will come back to this issue of international cooperation and discuss how to improve it with high-level representatives of cybersecurity ministries and agencies around the world. So we invite you to pay close attention to joining us for that very last session. Before we conclude this session, I want to invite you all to attend the next session, which will start in about 15 minutes. The theme is how policymakers can address the IoT, Internet of Things, digital security challenge. It's going to be very exciting. There's lots to unpack there with the Internet of Things. And so with that, I'll give you all a short break and thank you for your attention and thanks to all of our speakers. And we'll see you in 15 minutes.